thing.
We have not seen Maxine since we opened the capsule.
Uh-huh.
I feel like half of it is that we just miss her.
Yeah. We have to like say, hey, you know how you were grossed out about the like little piece of brain? Well, we have like 60% of a brain.
About.
Yeah, there's more where that came from.
Maybe you'll find it interesting that even though it is 60% of a brain, it's like 100 years old. Have you dissected a 100-year-old brain before?
Say,
And we have brought our bartering chips of strawberry taco, whatever the fuck's.
Strawberry chimichangas.
Yes. The multiple bargaining chips of like, hey, there's a Kaya and a Marcus. We have sweets. We have another nerd that either you're going to like or you're going to hate. We don't know. Throwing nerds in together is mixed bag.
And like almost everyone here is a nerd. Don't forget Cosmic. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Our boy.
Yeah. Just don't worry. There's also Cosmic. He's nice.
Pretty soon you're gonna appreciate the quiet.
So, yeah, you are all, of course, welcomed in to the humble abode. Well, humble in quotation marks, abode of Maxine. And you find her in her lab experimenting on something, and doing her own eclectic, weird research. And when you enter the lab, Bengeti, meanwhile, has been conspicuously quiet. He's just been kind of like, I would describe it as leering at just the opulence of the place, and how like it is a combination of a nice house and also very, very clean and organized, and like Maxine has a vision for what her house looks like, and it's very clear to people who come into her house. Oh, okay, this is this kind of place. And Bengeti seems off-put by that. Like, he's annoyed that she has such a verbose sense of style and theme. But who is to say why he's upset by it? But you walk into Maxine's lab, and she's experimenting on something. The moment you open the doors, there's like a little wisp of smoke, as if she was using some kind of heating tool or like a soldering iron and was touching something that like seared and made a little wisp of smoke. But she whips around on all four of her like manipulator legs that she uses to stand. And she's wearing at the moment like these heavy duty like fume hood looking goggles. It's very Mole from Atlantis, where they have like a little bit of circuitry on the side. They are very, very like well-designed, precise tools, but also big and bulky, and have a lot of like, there's a lot of weight on them. And she just kind of has her hair messily tangled behind the strap. She whips around and she just goes, "Oh, it's you." And she lifts the goggles up, and it adds like a 4-inch thick. You can see the goggles themselves are quite thick.
And I will point out, we definitely did warn her ahead of time rather than showing up. Bengetti doesn't get the warning half the time. Maxine still does.
Mm-hmm.
Legacy just like waves, motions towards the group. Yeah, we are here. We brought treats. You're good with strawberries, right? I don't think you said you had any allergies or anything.
There's like a flash of wonder on her face, like, ooh, are those chimichangas? And you hear the like ding 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 as her legs carry her over, like cock style.
I imagine Kaya has them, and like
Yeah.
freaking Legacy just like immediately sidesteps, dragging Cosmic along. It's like, no, you can run at Kaya. I'm getting out of the way.
Kai is holding the Tupperware. Sorry, the off-brand Tupperware. But
She like very quickly strides over to get to the like the dessert items.
Sup? The answer is yes. They are chimichangas, or strawberry ones. Legs made them, actually.
Oh, I didn't think you were a cook.
Yeah, she's not.
Legacy opens her mouth to say something. Has the Kaya response, closes her mouth, looks at Kaya, looks at the chimichangas. Oh, it's not like you poisoned anybody or anything.
Well, no, this is really good. It's really impressive that, like, you actually made it, and it's, like, really fucking awesome. Because, like, dude, the first thing I made was a disaster, so this is really cool. And yeah, no, Maxine, they're really, really good. You should really try one, when we're not in a lab.
Cosmic is looking at the like manipulator legs, and he's not like, he doesn't squat, but he'll bend slightly and kind of get real close to it, and he'll just poke one with a finger, and Maxine jumps and just goes like she felt it and it just yelps. It's like yeep. That turns around. It's like, excuse you, and we'll reach over and tug her legs away from him. Oh, sorry. Can you feel like the legs? Yes, I can feel the legs. They are made of brain tissue, sort of, and octopus tissue.
There's an immediately like head tilt, mouth slightly open, and then a look over her shoulder at Marcus. Like, you heard this shit?
Marcus is just like blinking, and he just looks at Legacy and just shakes his head, shrugs his shoulders, like, I've fucking heard of this.
Kaya. Blink. Computing. Processing.
Wait, so is it like the same sensation as like, and like Legacy will like gesture towards like her upper arm that is still flesh and blood?
And Maxine kind of tilts her head and just goes, not really. It's different. I can tell when someone pokes. And I can tell how much pressure I'm exerting. It's not a fine-grained sensory input. It's very rudimentary. But it works.
Yeah, we're gonna add that to the list of things we're gonna have a very long conversation about one day.
She blinks and then tilts her head and she's like, there's a list?
Yep.
Can I tag in on that? I'd love to hear about this, because, I mean, you gotta, like, what? This is Ogamok tech, right?
She nods. I used some of the skeletal framework from their actual skeleton re-enhancement, like bone structuring technology, the exoskeletons. And, I mean, they adapt really well to muscle because they're supposed to be embedded into bone. So I just made up some different kind of muscle. And then I encased it in a silicon-based tubing so it could flex really easily.
Imagine Kai is studying these intently. It's like, that's incredible, honestly. So definitely tag me in onto that uh talk, conversation, lecture. I don't know, whatever it is. I want to hear about it. Whenever you do that, I don't know what the list is or what else is on it, but
Legacy just nods. See, she's tucking that away into like the mental filing cabinet already.
mm,
That Legacy is a hacker primarily, but she does like messing with cybernetics. And that, from correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, that would be like a huge leap in a different direction for cybernetics.
Yes, it would be.
mm,
And also, low key, she made a promise to Marcus a long time ago they were going to work on him getting sensation in his arms properly somehow.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Look at that.
she just like crosses her arms a little bit. I imagine she's the one carrying the case with the brain, like on a strap over her shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
So, did we interrupt you in the middle of something? It looked like you had something on that table out there.
She just hand waves back to it, like kind of dismissively, and she's like, "Nah, that's just a myconid that I was studying. It was a fun hobby." She shrugs.
Okay, is that well, actually, you know what? Pause, rewind. Maxine, meet Cosmic Maxine. She's a. I feel like she's like a neuroscientist, right? Neurobiologist.
Yes, so a neurobiologist and also chemist for Ogremok.
Also, self-described leading cryptozoologist on the station.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, so Legacy will just like list the like fields. Like, she is a neuroscientist and biologist and chemist and fucks around with the weird shit, like all of us do, willingly or unwillingly at this point.
She looks at Cosmic and she has I don't know how to describe the pose, but I'm certain that you've seen it in like an anime or something where like one arm is bent and the palm is holding up the elbow and the other hand is kind of like lazily tilted, and she looks at Cosmic and Cosmic just very much in his bland cosmic-y way just kind of looks back at her and he just goes, "Hi, it's nice to meet you." And she holds out a hand very hesitantly and she just goes, "Hi." And they shake. It's the most uneventful but like kind of strained social interaction.
And while they are doing that, Legacy is like bending around Marcus to like spot the Bingetti who looks like he has been wandering.
Yes.
And she will
Bucket's
just
been keeping an eye on him.
like whistle to get his attention. And that over
Flinches and turns
there
around.
is Bingetti. Engineer Bingetti, when did you never actually told us your fucking pseudo job title?
He's not looking at you, he is looking at Maxine. And Maxine is in a very weird way, like mirroring Cosmic's stance, where she's just kind of standing, arms at her side, kind of uneventful, kind of like blasé looking. And she looks over at Bengetti and she just goes, "Hi," and she waves. And Bengetti has about the same sort of expression on his token, kind of leers at her and holds up a hand, and he is not hunched, but bent in like a roguish or suspicious looking way, and he waves his hand and he just goes, "Hi, you're the scientist everyone's so keen on, right?" And Maxine blinks and just goes, "Me?" And she looks to you, Legacy and Kaya, like, "You're keen on me?"
Like, Legacy is, like, staring at him still. And she kind of squints her eyes. And will look at Maxine, then look at Kaya, and then look back at Bengetti. And then she'll start laughing.
He just is souring more and more by them. He is spoiling like milk.
Kaya just looks over at him and just eyes like kind of narrow of like, the fuck's with your attitude?
Just get this. Here, I can't. Bengetti. You're fucking jealous.
I'm not jealous. Is he jealous? Why would he be jealous? And she just like puts a hand to her chin. It's like, I'm not jealous. Just because I don't have a fungi collection.
He is jealous because he is our other super scientist friend.
She looks a little perplexed and then kind of gets this almost mischievous grin. And she will put one hand on her hip and gesture to the tubes that Bengetti is near, and she goes, "Those are actually my experimental branch. I'm using those to grow some genealogically tampered with mushrooms. The hope is that I will be able to recreate brain structures." And Bengetti just like grimaces. Recreate brain structures out of mushrooms. And she starts to explain it in like a long-winded scientific way.
Paying rapt attention to this because this is very interesting.
Legacy is listening to it and like tilted her head, but as soon as Maxine seems to start to wander a little bit, she'll kind of interrupt. I imagine at this point she has moved and has like propped herself up against this desk a little bit, kind of leaned back against it, arms crossed, and will gesture towards Bengetti. Well, see, shared interests. Bengetti over there has mapped the human brain.
She blinks and like she kind of gives them an incredulous look, and she's like, "Really? Like you did a mapping of the brain? Like in what sense? Did you just draw a brain, or?" And he's like, "No, I mapped the genomic structure of the brain so that you can know what activity occurs where, and you can map memories onto it. That's what I mean by mapped a brain." And she does not look like she believes him. She looks incredibly incredulous at this. Like, it is just sheer impossible that he was able to do this, because it is such a ridiculous claim.
Have you thought maybe, losing the fucking attitude would help?
I don't have an attitude.
Really?
Crosses his arms. Yes.
Yeah, fucking doubt that shit. Well,
Legacy
anyway.
lifts a hand, runs it down her face. Were you saying something else, Amy? I'm sorry.
No, Kaya's just done with that. It's like, fucking, anyway, more to more important things.
Legacy just like hand down the face, like covers her mouth for a moment. She's thinking, eyes closed, and then she looks towards Bengetti. Bengetti.
What?
Hey, you know how we've had conversations about if I don't start mean, you don't start mean?
He doesn't say yes, but the unspoken yes does cross his face.
Setting aside any other issues that you might be having, she gestures towards Maxine and gives Maxine a look and looks back to Bengetti. The two of you are about the biggest brains I have ever met. And the two of you, if you want to play nice, actually should have a lot to talk about that should be interesting and helpful to both of your research.
Maxine will extend an olive branch and come on the heels of what you said, Legacy, by saying, if you did map the human brain, that would be a huge benefit to all of the work that I'm doing with the myconids, even with these. And she like wiggles one of her legs, like the octopus legs. All of this is based on the loose part of the loose framework that I was able to glean from one part of the motor core inside the brain. There's not really much else I could get that was concrete. The rest of it was all hypothetical. And Ben Getty, like, just kind of hand waves and just goes, I mean, how did you do it? Like, it's not easy, but you have to kind of start with something that you already understand, which if you already understand the motor cortex, then I would think that you could map the rest of it, because it's kind of all... And he just makes a hand gesture. He just waves a hand vaguely in a circular motion.
Connected.
And yeah, and he like points, he's like, that. It's like all that. It's all just kind of a mush of connected mess. And Maxine just kind of doesn't roll her eyes, but is kind of like, okay, well, yeah, I know. That's... And they'll start going back and forth a little bit, and the level of the conversation starts to quickly ascend into the realm of like, it is hard to follow what exactly they're talking about, because they are referencing both like elements of like simile to make comparisons to things, but also like talking about structures and chemicals and like elements of neuroscience that are way up in the air. And it is it's very clear like they both know a lot about what they're talking about, and they both have a shared interest in this area that overlaps, but they have branched in two different directions. And the more and more they talk, they're not getting like angry with each other, but it has a little bit of an air of like
Disagreement.
almost not disagreement, but almost like like a contest. It's almost like Ben Getty will present some sort of novel finding, and he'll state it with such raw factual confidence, and Maxine is just not impressed with basically anything he's saying, but does understand it and does acknowledge that like what he's saying is an impressive and seemingly accurate claim, but like they're just, it's ping-ponging back and forth, and it always feels like it's a little bit of like, who's going to have nothing to contribute first.
Does he
I'm
seem to
going
be
to
at
roll a
least
check.
getting less angry as this is going on?
Yeah, it's less angry. It is more like a competitive, weird competitive jaunt.
We can deal with competitive. We can't deal with attitude back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
That's the entire thing Legacy was trying to do, like trying to get them talking so they stop being pissed off.
Let me roll. Ben Getty is... I feel like Maxine should have higher skill, but she's broader than Ben Getty. Ben Getty is min-maxed all to shit. I'm gonna roll this. Do I have hidden GM on? Because I will roll it outwardly so you can all see. Just for the fun of it. Wow. So it is a like a shot like from one to like a shot here, a shot there, a shot here, a shot there, and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I mean, it is quite impressive to say the least. But the first one to really break is Ben Getty, because he has like done one incredibly thorough project with the brain, whereas Maxine has done multiple. And there's a moment where Maxine starts to gloat, and you can see like it's that moment where Ben Getty's like, okay, well, what about this? And then Maxine's like, oh, well, I would just do X, Y, and Z. And then he doesn't have a response. And there's that pause where everyone's like, uh-oh, oh no. And Maxine gets that like kind of wolfy looking grin. But she opens her mouth and then closes it. And you can see the gears turning of like, okay, I'm gonna be nice. This is a guest. And she clears her throat, just goes, well, if you're all so keen on brain work, and if you are interested, I would be delighted to help you in your research, provided you are willing to help me in mine. Ben Getty he's not doing that like hunched kind of crouched gremlin look. He's standing up normally, and he looks at everyone else like kind of assessing where they're all at, and he'll say, yes, yes, I'll help. I'll give you the brain scans, or at least what I remember of them.
Legacy, I imagine was. Correct me if I'm wrong, Amy. I imagine like both Legacy and Kaya like understood like maybe the first like 2 minutes, and then immediately tapped out of like, I don't understand what's going on. I imagine Marcus probably understood a little bit more, possibly.
He would tap out like right around where Legacy did, because it drifted from like cybernetics to just talking about neuroscience in general, and then it started to drift past that. So he would have tapped out right around where Legacy did.
But
maybe a little bit after, because he is more proficient in cybernetics as like a trade, but not necessarily hard chemistry and neuroscience.
I imagine Kyle lasted like maybe 30 seconds to 45 seconds longer, because I feel like, while it's not her specialty, she does have an interest in chemistry, so she knows the terms somewhat. But once they start getting piled on top of each other, that's when she's like, I can't remember what this means, and it's the root of all of this. And all right, there they go. I've lost it. All right, have fun.
But like Legacy, like when they come to that agreement, she just like throws her hands into the air, like over dramatic, and there we go. And she'll look towards Maxine. So we brought you goodies. We brought you a new research friend. Gestures towards Bengetti. We have something very...
Oh no.
Well, it's interesting.
It doesn't happen to be a dreamer, does it? Or maybe a piece of a dreamer?
No. I mean, we have more information about that we can share too, but we have to get through the slightly more pressing issue first. That you are uniquely, as you have so kindly demonstrated, capable of helping us with.
She blinks. Did you bring me another human brain?
Yes.
Doesn't even
She
count as human anymore.
shrivels.
However, this one, if we are looking at it correctly, is over 100 years old.
What?
And still wet and squishy.
You 100 years old, perks up. Wet and squishy, shrivels. She like shakes her head. How did you get 100-year-old brain that isn't dust?
Do you really want to know the how?
No, I don't. That's a good point.
Alicia just smiles very calmly. It is, well, looks towards Marcus as she is saying this to like make sure that she is saying it right. It does have a serial number attached to it that, if we're understanding serial number, means that it is the original.
He nods. It was part of a replicated process, and I mean, if I'm reading serial number right, it looks like the original, or it should be.
And Legacy just swings the case off and holds it out towards Maxine because she doesn't know where Maxine wants to put it. It's in a nice glass container right now, so it's not going to get anywhere.
She will like reach out with two grippies and take the case. And she looks a little queasy, but she doesn't say anything. One grippy will hold the case, and the three of them will carry her over to her bench. And she will press a few buttons, and the bench will rise, and this square area will lift up out of the floor, and once it gets to about like an 8-foot height, and there in the middle of it is this almost like a fume container or chemical like containment booth. And this is where she had done the previous blood work. It was just like recessed earlier. But once it lifts up, she will press the container into the little don't really know what to call it. It's like a miniature airlock. And she'll press the buttons, close the outside portion of it, and then open the inside portion of it. And then two of her manipulators will reach into the containment unit. You've seen on like chemical handling fume hoods where there's rubber gloves like embedded into the wall, right?
Yes.
And you can like put gloves on and manipulate something on the other side of the glass wall. Maxine has something similar, but there are, rather than like rubber gloves, there are just like some sort of like hole. It looks like a hole that has a seal on it, and the seal is like is a perfect seal, but she just sticks two of her manipulators into the seals, and they seamlessly transition into the glass container so that she is able to manipulate them with the actual octopus leg things rather than her hands in gloves. And she opens the container, and you can see the like actual seal crack on the inside. And it's like a little gas is let out, and she pulls the brain out, and again, just pulp. And she doesn't balk at it, but there is a hesitation. Like she's lifting it out of the container and then stops, and then you can hear her kind of whine and just go, "No."
Just keep reminding yourself it's 100 years old.
And she just whines, but like pulls it all the way out of the case and sets it down, starts to examine it. And she is kind of lost in the sauce for maybe like a minute. And she's just like turning it over and examining it, and just not sure not sure how to make heads or tails of what she's looking at. But she looks at the serial number that's listed on the container and blinks and just goes, yeah, if this was used in some kind of cybernetics process as a base, this would be the original. Do I need to know whose it is? And Marcus chimes up and just goes, no. Nope, you don't. You don't need to know. Don't worry about it.
Legacy takes a slow breath. She's kind of nodding in agreement with Marcus at first. As she stops, she takes a breath and just like kind of like again, arms crossed, like one finger tapping at her arm, trying to figure out what she needs to say. You have been very clear that you don't want to know a lot of things because you don't want to get in too deep on things. But you don't need to know who. I think it might be worth knowing what, so that you kind of know the stakes of what we're dealing with. Kind of looks around to the others, it's like for agreement.
She looks a little nervous, and then she relaxes for a second. You can see like a thought, a very, very powerful thought crossed her mind, and then she discarded it. But she doesn't bring it up. You just see like the expression on her face change a few times.
Above the table, what do you mean by what we're dealing with? What are you implying here?
The memory alteration or brain alterations that have been going on, and cloning.
Okay.
If she is a super advanced brain scientist, she needs to know that we are concerned about this like remapping and, copying of the brain as well as the alteration of copied brains. And she might be able to see signs of that. And because we're talking about copying of brains, that naturally leans into cloning.
That would be smart. I have something I'd like to add if that's okay. While the crew is talking about that, Blackheart will kind of move up behind Mengeti and lean in to kind of whisper or speak softly to him. I thought you were keen on getting your hands on this thing. Why aren't you moving up?
He just kind of crunches his nose, and he gestures to Maxine, because Maxine, like realistically, Maxine would take up probably. Let me see.
And she herself is normal size. It's the legs,
Hmm.
the wingspan, I imagine.
Is there another area for someone else to work at this or no? Or yeah, okay, that's what I thought. So he just kind of gestures towards Maxine.
We can't hear you, Joe, if you're talking.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes. What was the last thing you heard me say?
We haven't heard you say anything since like Iris started talking.
Yeah,
Oh,
since
okay.
you resized Maxine.
Oh, okay. So yeah, realistically, Maxine takes up about that much space because of just the width of how wide she stands and her legs, like the mechanical Dr. Octopus legs. But like there is space on the left and right and opposite sides of the table. Like these yellow machines, just kind of disregard that they are there.
Okay.
And Bengetti hasn't seen this set of stairs, so he like just kind of frantically gestures at Maxine with like he wants to get up there. He's like, I can't get close. She's too big.
Okay.
Say excuse me to Cosmic.
Lockhart will put her kind of hand on Bengetti's shoulder and usher him this way, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And while she's moving him around, she'll kind of call out and be like, "Would you mind if our friend here takes a look at this as well? Maybe he can add his take to this."
Maxine snaps out of it and just goes, "Oh,
Ooh,
yes.
sorry.
You can come up and see the brain." And he starts to walk up, and then Maxine says, "You do know it's a human brain, right? That's not going to bother you?" And Bengetti like blinks for a second and just goes, no. Should it? Should it bother me?" And she just kind of blinks at that, just goes, I don't know. I feel like it should, but then again, maybe it shouldn't. I
Well,
don't care.
to be fair, you're really interested in about the closest thing we can call to aliens. So the human brain is by far the least terrifying and scary thing that could be put on your table.
She thinks about it for a second and then, like, nods. That's a good point. I guess if somebody did bring me a gray, I would want to peek inside it. And it is technically grosser than humans in a way. She looks like she's really trying to justify how to not be squeamish with aliens. But Bengetti, as she is reconciling that in her own mind, Bengetti approaches the container and he walks up behind it and will like kind of press his nose to the glass like a kid who's looking inside at a bakery. And he's just kind of watching because she's not really doing any work or anything to it. She is simply observing it and rotating it in the container. But she like stops for a second and then looks over to Legacy and Kaya and says, Is there something you wanted me to figure out with this, or did you just want me to collect a list of neat factoids about it?"
And that's where the what comes into this. So, you can You are a smart enough woman to assume that if we're finding this stuff, we're dealing with some really heavy hitters, some really big things going on. And these heavy hitters have figured out how to copy human brains and alter them.
She just kind of blinks and she looks to Kaya for confirmation.
I'm sorry, my headphones cut out for the last bit of what Legacy said.
Copy human brains and alter them.
There's just like a bit of a wince from Kaya, but just like a nod of just like, yeah.
So above table, just so you are all aware,
Mm-hmm.
cloning is something that exists in a small way, insofar as there are ways to pseudo clone body parts or missing organs, but it is exceptionally expensive, exceptionally resource intensive, and it would there are loads of technicalities where it's like they might not be able to clone a useful thing. Like if you, for example, if a exorbitantly rich person were to develop liver cancer and they did not want to get a cybernetic liver, they wanted to get a real liver replacement, and they did not want to accept a donation, they wanted to get like a completely refreshed liver of their own making, they could pay to have part of their liver taken and cloned and grown so that it could be grown separately from them and replace their whole liver. But with something like cancer, it might not work. There are other situations where people have used cloning to clone smaller organs like kidneys. But generally, cloning is like it is sort of like fitting a puzzle piece back. It's definitely like full human cloning is like still science fiction. And the idea that someone would clone a brain is like, well, why? If somebody wants a brain, why would they, like, you would have to donate part of your brain to get it cloned. And to do that is like insane.
That's the next fun bit of information she's about to get once she processes the first bit.
Yeah, so she's chewing on that right now, and she looks at the brain, or rather what's left of this brain, and she just kind of like her face twists itself in a knot of like she's totally perplexed, and she looks at you, Legacy, and she's just like, why would someone want to clone their brain? That just seems like it wouldn't work.
Legacy just kind of sighs. Well, I will point out, to add to the little bit of fun of cloning a brain, I didn't just say cloning, Maxine. I said copy.
She blinks. Well, what do you mean by copy? Like, do you mean
Memories, experiences, personality.
She narrows her eyebrows, and you can see her really trying to think through the process of how this could work, like even on a conceptual level. And she's thinking about it. And Ben Getty on the other side of the glass is kind of staring at the brain, and you can see he's also deep in thought, but not really present in the conversation. And Maxine will say, So they're growing a copy of their brain, cloning their brain, and copying, making copies of it? Like duplicate backup brains?
Legacy nods. And
She looks at this thing and then she
backups of more than just the brain.
she kind of snorts and just goes, "Are you gonna say that they're like they've got backup homunculi in their basement or something?"
Legacy just stares at her.
The smile slowly fades over the course of 15 seconds. You are saying they have backup copies of homunculi in their basement.
She nods.
Marcus leans in and says, "What is a homunculus? Or homunculi?"
False person, fake person, like not born, created.
He nods like, "Oh." And Maxine just stares at the brain. And you can see the gears turning in her head. She is like, you can see her eyes kind of scanning it. And her brain is starting to just like zoom. It's going faster and faster and faster and faster as she is like processing information. If steam could come out of her ears, it would.
Lacey's gonna let her sit.
Lockhart's not. That's not also factoring in the altercations I'm making to it.
She blinks and looks up and just goes, "Alterations?"
Yes, replacing memories.
Okay, above table, did we ever find out that they were like actually replacing memories? Because I know they were altering the brain to make them not care.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there were definitely situations where they had
In the document.
Yeah, in the document they had done pretty much every permutation of take a brain and take memories out, take a brain and add memories to them that weren't there before, take a brain and like swap memories. And just every version of how you could fuck around with that they have done in the experiments.
The Hex document.
The Hex Project, that's what it is. Man, it really has been a time. But Maxine looks up and blinks and just goes, "But if they were altering memories, then they would have to have a full copy of a scanned brain."
Lockhart looked from Maxine to Ben Getty, then back to Maxine.
And you see the knowledge click, and she doesn't start hyperventilating, but she starts to breathe a little faster. And then she will take 2 fingers and press them against her own neck and check her pulse and then calm herself down. And she's going to set the brain jar down inside the glass container. And she's going to pull her little claws out. And she is going to like reach one extended long claw over and grab a chimichanga.
Prax takes the Tupperware from the little tower of Tupperware in Kaya's hands. Yoinks the topmost one, I imagine.
Yep. We brought the bargaining chips.
Yep. Got quite a few of them. We gonna need them.
The equivalent of anxiety meds.
Desserts.
Lacey's gonna like get like Legacy is still staying quiet until she gets like halfway through the chimichanga. And then she'll open her mouth and start talking again.
Just before you get to the halfway point and start talking, like Cosmic walks up and will pat Maxine on the back while she eats the chimichanga. And then you can talk.
Like, she kind of smiles at Cosmic. Cosmic is he is not the like super nerd of the group. He is the emotional support Cosmic. It's just look at Maxine. So, I know this is a lot and probably more than you really wanted to know. But that's why I said the what is a little bit too important not to tell you.
She takes another bite and then nods. And she looks at the brain, and she looks at Ben-Gedi, and she looks at Lockhart and says, "Is that yours?" And looks at Ben-Gedi when she says it. And he blinks and just goes, "Me? No, that's not my brain." And she lets out a huge sigh of relief.
No, it's not his brain, but his research was unfortunately tied to this. Not with his knowledge, for the most part.
Ben-Gedi scratches his head and just goes, "Not that I can remember, at least. Though I wouldn't be surprised if it was." And he just kind of shrugs. Not that you remember? And, like, you know that moment where Marcus freaked out and started to panic about, like, oh no, what if I remember wrong? That sort of thing. You can see that sort of fear creeping up into Maxine's face as she is just kind of like, oh god, he can't remember.
Legacy will like look at like Ben-Gedi and she's trying to like she leans just slightly to like meet his eye or try to meet his eye. And there's just the silent like question of permission.
He'll look over and there's a pause where he's at first not really sure what you're doing, and then he looks at Maxine and then looks at the brain and then looks back to you, and then he just kind of shrugs. He gives you permission.
And Legacy's still kind of slow with saying it, but she'll nod. We're pretty sure that Ben-Gedi's brain has been altered.
Maxine, like, looks up at Ben-Gedi and then just kind of looks at all of you in turn. This is a lot. And she just kind of stares at the chimichanga.
Like, Kaya takes out a chimichanga for herself.
Marcus, like, creeps around this way to get a chimichanga.
Yeah. Chimichanga time. Stress eating.
I will say, I imagine that before they got here, Legacy did make a point to like grab a single one of them to give to Cosmic. so that Cosmic also had a opportunity to have a chimichanga.
He absolutely would take you up on that offer. If not, try to get seconds.
Did he bring his own snack? What's the cosmic snack?
I need to make a snack table and just roll on it.
Cosmic snacks.
This time he did not bring a snack.
Oh.
I think this will be the one time that he did not bring any sort of unique snack, because he was informed that there would be chimichangas, of which he got one. But Vengetti will also come over and take one, and Maxine is like processing, and Vengetti, with a mouthful, also just kind of shrugs and just goes, or above table, I believe that you've already kind of informed Vengetti that he had his memory altered and might be a clone, correct?
Yes, because he also did see Vengetti on the TV.
Mm-hmm.
And he's seen the pictures of Tall Getty.
Tall Getty.
He like walks over and grabs a chimichanga and very casually will like take a bite and be like, "Yeah, apparently I'm also a clone."
And Legacy nods. Oh, wait a beat, and then lean over towards Maxine. And she's not whispering it, but just kind of in a low tone. The not really minding things, from what we understand, is also part of the alteration. Didn't go well if they didn't do that.
Maxine just kind of, she makes a face and she'll look around again and be like, I am sorry, but I'd like to rewind for a second and ask how you got all of this information. How do you know that this is all a thing that is real? I mean, the brain is real.
Reports.
Can I see them?
If you do not want to be involved anymore in this, I would suggest not looking at them.
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to dive into the deep end if you read those.
Yeah, look, Max, you're kind of at the line right now without getting, all the way involved. And if you want to stay on that line, this is it.
She really, like, very, very deeply stares into the last bite of chimichanga she has, hoping that maybe she will find an answer in the cream filling, or maybe a strawberry. Alas, there was none to be found. And she just kind of shakes her head and says, I don't know. I mean, I want to know. This is all really cool, but I mean, I would have thought this was really cool up until it was real.
Yeah, I feel like several of us are in that same position. Or at least were before we dived into the deep end.
Also, look, you don't gotta make a decision now.
And do I have to make a decision by?
I don't think there's really gonna be a deadline, but
Preferably
you can just,
soon.
yeah, preferably, but no rush on that. You could just look into this with what you do know and get back to us on what you do find, and after you've had some time to, think on it and the pros, cons on getting, more involved into all this, then we can discuss sharing the docs about it.
She's just very deeply considering what you said, Kaya, and while she is considering, one of her manipulators stretches out and goes over to her little desk area and roots around in one of the drawers, and then roots around in a different drawer, and then roots around in a third different drawer, and then will grab something, like pinch something, and pull it up and out of the drawer and bring it all the way over. And it is a small thing. And you can't really tell what it grabbed until it gets all the way back to Maxine. And she opens her hand, and a quarter drops into her hand.
Could you think about this, like, I don't know, at least sleep on it? Give it, like, I don't know, a day of thought.
No, let her cook. Let her cook.
But we're not cooking, we're in a lab.
Wave of
Marcus
hands.
leans over and he's like, "No, I know this one. It means you got to let them do their thing."
But doing the thing means making a, rash decision impulsively, and, you shouldn't really do that kind of shit with something like this.
She stares at the coin for a good like 10 seconds, and then she will look over and at Lockhart, and then look over at Ben-Getty. And then she'll, in a weird turn, she feels Cosmic poke her leg again, and then she'll whip around, and he'll say, "Sorry, I wanted to get your attention. You weren't looking in this direction." And she just blinks. He goes, I think if you flip a coin, you might know what you want to do soon, but it might not be what you want to do in the long term. So, like what Kaya said, just maybe take a sleep, and then when you're done, flip a coin.
There are also other things you could assist us with. We don't need to be this far.
She looks over at you, Lockhart, and looks back to Cosmic. And she smiles, and then will look at the coin and then put the coin in her pocket. I'll sleep on it.
Breath of fucking relief from Kaya. She bites into the chimichanga.
What other ways can I help?
Well, do you still have your notes on when we were last here? When you connected yourself to the internet?
Oh, yeah, I still have that.
By the way, how are you feeling?
She looks at you like she doesn't understand the question, and she just kind of tilts her head and goes, "Fine."
Like,
Do I
after
look
all that?
not fine?
No, you look fine. You look good. Just want to double check because that was really fucking concerning, and I was really worried about you. So,
She blinks at you, and she goes to say something and is interrupted by Cosmic, who says, "You look good." And she turns and looks at Cosmic. Thanks. And then turns back to you, Kaya, and is a little red in the face, but not really sure why. And will say, I haven't felt any different or weirder. I feel fine.
okay.
She flips her hair around, and you can see the, module that she installed on herself. And she just goes, I had to make sure that I didn't accidentally catch rejection syndrome, but it seems like it's okay. This was kind of a really, really risky job. But I think it turned out good.
And we hit on another overlap in research.
Ben Getty just blinks. Did you put like a cable connector directly into your brain? And she looks very proud and says, more or less.
Don't even think about it.
He looks over at you, Lockhart, and there's like a deep seething envy of like, how come she gets to do that?
Lacey's really, really fast on that before that argument starts. Gestures towards Bengetti. He has figured out what I would assume to be a similar thing, but using a heavily modified VR system.
Ben Getty looks a little proud now. And he just goes, yep. It allows you to seamlessly transition into an online space. We haven't officially tested it yet, awkwardly looking over to Kaya and Legacy. But it works. And you don't have to plug in your brain. Though I imagine plugging in your brain is way faster. And Maxine looks a little, like, deflated for a second, because she's just like, oh, shit. I didn't have to do this? The Cosmic chimes up again and says, I tested it. And again, Maxine has to, like, turn around to see Cosmic, and he says again, I was practicing to become a hacker, sorta. And he, like, waves his hand a little bit.
And it does eventually get you online in a very strange way. And she'll kind of pause and realize that she has only, like, really told Marcus the details of online experience. And she'll say, I did end up online, and it was a very strange experience. What did it look like to you, Maxine?
She blinks and, like, takes a very exaggerated thinking pose. Like, puts both hands on her temples, like in this, like, Professor Xavier kind of psychic transference way. And she is very deeply concentrated. Says, it was really strange, because I didn't have, like, a normal body. At least in the way that I know I have a body. But I was there. I also didn't have, well, there wasn't, like, gravity. There was just kind of direction. It's hard to really quantify, but it looked kind of like a sky and a bunch of really tall buildings.
And giant holes leading into nothing when you look at the windows?
She blinks and tilts her head like, yeah. And if you, well, accessing a location, she says accessing with, like, finger quotes, was kind of like going to the other side of the window.
Legacy nods. Yeah, so you saw roughly the same thing I did, I think. Though I didn't, aside from getting out, go fully to the other side. I was just reaching in. But, go ahead.
She she like just reaching in, she like tilts her head and just goes, just reaching in? Like not going all the way through the window?
Lacey nodded. I looks at Kaya, looks at Lockhart, seems a little nervous, kind of shifts from one foot to the other. So, I was able to get to access all the devices in a certain IP address and communicate out. But I decided I wanted to take one of the devices and move it somewhere else. And that's not suggested.
She just like seems a little impressed and a little frightened, but definitely understands and just goes, oh, well, that is good to know.
Also,
I haven't gone back in a while.
well, there's
I've
other
gotten
things you
distracted
need to
with
be
other things.
worried about there. Because viruses are very real things that will attack you.
Really?
Not. At least the things that were thrown up against me just to see what they would be like. Kind of like dogs.
She like is she just kind of confused again and just goes, what program is like a dog? Maybe Watchdog?
I don't remember what they were, I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
Lacey just kind of shrugs. It was easy enough for me to, like, disable them when I needed to, but, it was something just off of a security key that Big Getty had lying around, so it's not something particularly worrying, but I can only imagine what kind of eldritch beast would come out of a hacker's virus.
Hmm. She kind of starts thinking about it, and she wonders out loud for a second, not really realizing she's doing it. And she goes, I wonder if there's a way that you could prepare antivirus stuff before going in. But I don't know what antivirus looks like from inside. And she just kind of shrugs. And she goes, and this whole thing with going online with your consciousness, I can help with that.
Well, Bingetti figured out how to do it with pretty much just straight engineering. Having a neurobiologist spin on it might be helpful.
She smiles and just goes, I would be happy to help.
Looks towards Bingetti.
He looks at you and then looks at Kaya and Lockhart and he just goes, I think that we should both keep the machine and also work together.
Keep. What do you mean by keep the machine?
Nothing. We should work together. And he looks at Maxine very flatly. Marcus looks over to you, Legacy, and he's just like, what?
There is a narrowing of the eyes. She's not going to do anything right now because she is still trying to play the calm bridge between the two. But she is staring very intently at Bingetti.
Bingetti very pointedly not looking at Lockhart. Cosmic will speak up again and say, if you want to test anything on the machine, am I still good to be the tester, or should I not do that anymore? Because I would like to go online.
Legacy just kind of like opens her mouth, closes her mouth, opens her mouth, sighs. We would have to do one very specific test before you do anything else to make sure you know how to get back out. But if you can manage that, it has largely been built around you, so shouldn't be any issue.
Also want to see if we can get any kind of communication in. It'd be pretty difficult, but if we can manage to get something figured out, that'd, probably be for the best.
Well, at the bare minimum, some sort of signal.
Yeah.
There theoretically may be a way to communicate should whoever's in the machine have the appropriate cybernetics. Not super easily, but she just kind of like lifts her hand and the little holographic screen of essentially her phone pops up. With a little bit of adjustment and a little bit of trial and error. My brain is still in my body, so should possibly be less strain to just communicate back to what I already have than trying to find somebody else to reach out to and carry along.
Maxine ponders. Okay, so some kind of modification so that you know where you are and when you are. I noticed a time dilation effect. And also where you need to go. Like GPS, but online.
Lexi nods. It would be useful, but at the very core, it is IP addresses. I thought of IP addresses and was immediately taken to those windows.
She nods and like kind of like scratches at her chin. Well, I would be happy to help you in my free time. Would you rather me help with that or... And she looks at the brain, goes, or this.
Well, this until you decide if you want to dive head first into everything. Really just a good once-over of it is all we can ask. Because unfortunately, most of us, just looking at it, it just looks like a brain. We don't know what we're looking at beyond that.
She nods. Can I still get those brain scans from you or mappings? And looks at Ben-Getty. Ben-Getty blinks and like he's kind of lost in thought and he shakes himself out of it and just goes, "What? Oh, yeah. I mean, looks to the rest of the group. Yes?
They're your scans, Spaghetti.
Yeah, you're right. They are my scans. So yes, you can look at them."
That being said, well, as long as you promise not to shed.
She like does a little 2-finger salute and just goes, "Scouts honor. Girl Scouts honor." Which I don't think is a thing, but either way.
And as a little treat, we do have a little bit of information to give you about your special interest.
She blinks and just goes, "Fungus?" Or maybe she gets like a glint in her eye and just, "Dreamers?"
Yeah, that one.
What did you find out? And immediately she like takes a big step closer to you.
Legacy just kind of smirks. Let me be clear here. Legacy is not going to tell her where. She just kind of like tilts her head one way and the other. We had a run-in with one. Again.
Uh-huh.
What the fuck was that one's name?
Witness?
Yeah, it was Witness, and then they were talking about Prophet?
Mm-hmm. Witness was the one you met.
Uh-huh.
Witness mentioned the existence of Prophet and Pilgrim.
Prophet and Pilgrim. And I forget, did they say then that one of those was attached to the one we've already met? Because I feel like one of them was and the other one wasn't.
I think Pilgrim. We'd have to check the notes.
Wait for what?
Prophet and Pilgrim.
The other dreamers
Control
and
F.
yeah.
Wait, it was... What was one of the names?
Prophet. Prophet.
Not on this... No, sorry.
Pilgrim.
This notebook. Sorry, I'm trying to search and it's not letting me search.
Oh no.
I am very sorry.
That's
I
okay.
will look.
Mm-hmm.
But Legacy's just, well, we had another run-in, and they gave us their name, their Witness. And we know there's two other names, Prophet, Pilgrim. And Witness, well, is kind of true to form of the name. Collects, and she kind of like lifts a hand and kind of spins it in that like kind of circular, like trying to find a word gesture. I wanna
Oh!
Yes?
Got it. Sorry. Maybe have... I imagine Kaya just got stuck on trying to remember the names. It just, snaps her fingers and the, aha! Yeah, Witness, Pilgrim, Observer, Prodigy. Got
Observer. So the one that we came and talked to you about originally is named Observer. This one was Witness, and Witness collects kind of memories, kind of not. I think they're made in part out of nanobots.
Where did you meet him? How did you talk to him if he's made up of nanobots?
I think we talked to him in our heads, so that's why we're really not sure. But we know it happened because everybody remembers the same things. And somehow I have pictures.
She blinks and is like, can I see the pictures?
Legacy will... I think she took like a picture of like the painting room where the face was that they talked to.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just show her that.
She looks at it and sees like the face of the dreamer style kind of geometry pattern, and she doesn't like recognize it in the way that you would think, but she stares at it and is like, oh, this is definitely a dreamer. Where is it?
It sounded like it was in a lot of places at the same time. It's a dreamer, Maxine. You know dreamers are really weird.
Kai kind of points towards some of the things in this direction over here. It's kind of like, spores.
Mm-hmm.
Ah,
High concentrations of it make interacting with him possible, but he's kind of all over the place.
I wonder if there's a way to detect if it's like spores and it's nanobot. Does that mean you all have dreamer in you?
Like, she just kind of like tilts her head one way and then the other. I honestly don't know.
Wait, stay here. And she like clambers over the desk, down across the way, and you hear like the as her legs carry her. She is going to like go over and around into the neighboring room. The door like slides open, and she rushes in, and you can see her like part of her in there as she is rummaging around for something. And then after a quick like 10 or 20 seconds, she is, you hear her say like, found it. And then she starts coming back out, and you can see in her possession she has several needles.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm
And
gonna
she
need a
clambers
drink for this.
up over the top of the desk and lands like right next to you, Legacy. And she just goes, so as she's moving, so I know that this might seem like a bit much, but if I could just get a little sample of your blood.
Legacy, like, looks over, sees her go into the other room. I imagine figures out what she is planning on doing as she is in the other room still. Just kind of like shoulder slump of like not defeat, but like, oh boy, here we go. Looks at Kaya as she says she needs a drink. Just kind of smirks. It's just a little blood draw, Kaya.
Yeah, Well, that's fine. I just. Well, Maxine, do you got like, I don't know, you got any coffee or something?
I think so. I could probably make coffee. She kind of taps her finger on her chin.
Cool. I'll trade you blood draw for coffee.
She smiles and gives you a thumbs up. I'm fine.
You're what?
She said, I'm fine with this.
Okay.
And let me see if I have. I think I had a visual for. Yeah. So she will wave to you all and say, like, come, just come this way, and we'll go into the sitting room, and we can sit there and have coffee, and I can draw your blood, and we can talk about whatever else we need to talk about. And she just kind of waves dismissively.
Ah, yes. Kaya follows immediately.
Legacy will, like, let Kaya go first, hang back just long enough that, like, when Ben-Getty starts to move, she'll sling an arm around Ben-Getty's shoulders with that very fucking impish grin. Look at you, making more nerd friends.
He grimaces and he's like, shut up. I don't make friends. I've never made friends.
She just, like, as she is walking, pushing him forward to go get coffee, like, gasps very, like, loudly, looks at Lockhart. I imagine still behind them. Did you hear that, Lockhart? The man doesn't make friends. What are we then?
Shut up. Shut up. It's fine.
Are you too embarrassed to say that we're friends?
Fucking no. I'm not embarrassed. Just. God, shut up.
Legacy has entertained herself long enough. She will let him go.
But Kaya will help Maxine make coffee, though. She has another question. So I feel like, I don't know, is there enough coffee/coffee pot to make for just general coffee for everyone, if anyone wants?
Probably. Maxine
a pot.
has. Yeah.
The secret is it's super sweet, like mocha coffee.
Yes, Maxine takes coffee with her sugar.
Yo, you know what? Same, girl. Unfortunately, Kaya does not. But she would ask. Kaya just has to ask. Ask Maxine, like, does she also have tea, or is it just coffee?
She prefers tea.
Ah,
so, yeah,
cool.
She would absolutely have tea.
Aha. Perfect. Kaya is looking for something either chai or something minty.
Mm-hmm. And do you have this map?
Hey, let's go.
Need to see around. There we go. Okay.
If you just click on the NPCs, you can see a lot more. Oh, Sailor didn't like that.
Hey, Sailor.
But you are all very quickly ushered into a sitting room, to which Maxine, like, very, very quickly, like, sets down all of the needles and blood drawing accoutrement like on the little coffee table, and then she stands up and rushes to go get coffee so she can come back with coffee and draw blood.
All right. Kyle will go assist her with the coffee and also on her mission for tea.
Hot water will be fine. I have my own.
Well, yeah, but like, what if she's also got the one you like? Well, you know, something similar.
I have more teas than I do coffee. I only have instant coffee. And she looks at the container, which is it is instant coffee.
How expired is it?
Do you ask Lockhart?
No, I was just asking out of character.
Well, it's not expired yet. The expiration date is like 100 years from now. But that doesn't mean she bought it recently.
You know what?
Lockhart, go make friends. Other friends that like tea.
I am perfectly fine here.
That's cool.
No, you get to go make friends too. And he starts to push you.
I mean, I
Go
could
on.
just get you the tea.
No.
Go in there anyway.
Pingetti has a point.
Go on. Go be sociable.
Yeah, but if she doesn't wanna, you know, she doesn't have to.
Kaya, shut up. Go.
I'm pretty sure Kaya has a point here.
Kaya has what?
A point.
Wait. No, she doesn't. She does not have a point. What she has is a dick in the mud who won't suffer with me. Cosmic holds up his hand and just goes, I'm not suffering.
Well,
That's because
he's
you
not
like
suffering.
people, Cosmic.
He
Hearing
just
your... Oh, sorry.
sorry, Cosmic just like blinks and blushes a little bit at the compliment.
Trust me, hearing your techno-babble was suffering enough.
Bengetti looks like play offended, but actually.
See, like, so just kind of like arms crossed where she is, looks towards Bingetti. See, now if she tries to lecture you about people, you officially don't have to listen to her.
I don't believe I've ever done that.
I've got permission not to listen to you now.
You gotta get permission from Legs now?
I didn't know
have
she
to
was
get
your
permission.
owner.
She's not my owner.
Same wavelength.
Now he's sulking again.
all right, look, how about compromise? I'll go get the tea, and if Locke doesn't like it, then she's gotta go get it and ask Maxine for recommendations.
It's fine. I'll go and assist in bringing refreshments.
Are you sure? Because I could just get it. You don't gotta.
Sit.
But I wanna help and get it.
Gone.
What the
Heading
fuck?
towards the kitchen.
It's fucking... I told you I was gonna fucking get it. It's also gone. Fucking listen, you piece of shit.
Don't you realize she listens to nobody? This is part of her problem.
Sometimes she listens to Kaya. Sometimes.
But
I mean, she went to go get drinks. That's listening to someone.
True.
True.
But yes, after a brief break, you are welcomed by both Maxine and Lockhart carrying a bunch of tea and coffee, and also hot water.
Bring refreshments.
Kaya's not sulking.
I imagine there's like a singular stool or like ottoman or something that Legacy has made sure that Marcus sat on, rather than him standing all the time.
He will awkwardly like stand next to it and just be like, "Is that? Why don't you sit? I don't have to sit.
Marcus,
What? I'm trying to be polite."
sit.
He opens his mouth and then sits down. But Maxine quickly tromps back, and like spiders her way in through the room, sets down a bunch of drinks, a bunch of like, or not a bunch of, but rather a large quantity containers of cream and sugar, as well as several different types of sauce that she would be more than happy to give everyone for whomever wants it for whatever drink. And she had made for herself matcha. But she sits down with her little green matcha drink. And she'll look around and just go, okay, who's first? And Cosmic will hold up his hand and then like hesitate for a moment. I don't think Cosmic was in the room with Witness, was he?
He was.
He was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did-
Cosmic will immediately hold up his hand then.
Because he was the one that Legacy scanned to look at cybernetics. So that's how we found out the cybernetics that he has. The only person that did not encounter Witness out of this group is Bengetti.
Mm-hmm.
Kaya will also raise her hand. This was the agreement. Coffee and then blood.
Cosmic looks at you, Kai, and just goes, you can go first if you want.
I mean, if you wanna, you can. But...
Okay. And he will go first.
Okay.
Imagine, like I say, just like sits down, cross-legged, like leans against Marcus's leg, and is kind of watching for a moment. So there's, we don't really know how everything is happening with it. We just know that the nanobots are recording things and stashing them. And because of that, I don't know if the other, like, again, first time talk to a dreamer, but it seems to be vaguely aware of the others and kind of aware of what, I don't know, drives them, what they like or want, or if they want.
Interesting. What would they want?
That's why the if is there, because at least talking to Witness, it didn't necessarily seem like it was a wholly want thing. It was, at least for them, I don't know what to refer to it as, but kind of more of a, this is what I was made to do, so this is what I am doing thing.
So they're kind of trapped within their own programming.
kind of the little like half shrug of like, yeah, maybe.
She nods. She sets up very quickly and will like gingerly set down next to Cosmic and use her hands to draw blood from Cosmic's arm. And she will go and draw blood from everyone. One little vial of blood from you all, unless someone protests. Which,
Yeah.
if nobody else does, Ben Getty is going to protest.
He wasn't there.
Yeah, I imagine
Exactly.
as soon as like she starts to reach for Bengetti, like I imagine he starts talking at the same time Legacy does. Like he technically yeah.
No.
He wasn't there.
Oh. Well, it sounds like you missed out. And she shrugs and we'll move on.
How visceral was his reaction?
Did you ever see Scott Pilgrim the movie?
No.
Oh man. Hold on, I gotta find. There's a GIF that would perfectly encapsulate this.
Speaking of Scott Pilgrim, while you're looking for the GIF, I watched the animated show. Like, it is legitimately good, but I was so fucking confused for like the first 2 or 3 episodes. Like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a legit one-to-one rehashing of the books, and I was like, whatever, I guess it's animated. This is the way I wanted it originally. And no, it goes in a completely different direction.
Which is so cool that they saw an opportunity and took it. And I love that. But I was so confused at first.
Same.
Wait, Joe, did you watch The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
I did.
Okay. I pulled up the suggestions list because Scott Pilgrim needs to go on there. Have you seen that, Iris?
Seen which movie?
Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good image. So I'm assuming Meggetty does not do needles.
It's more like he's offended that she said you missed out.
Oh, okay. just blank.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But does anyone else have anything to say for Maxine while she draws blood?
I mean, I imagine Legacy is just trying to field any direct questions that she has as best she can.
Mm-hmm.
I think if things settle down for a bit, Legacy will just kind of like sit in the silence for a moment and then kind of like tilt her head and bite her lip, a little nervous. I should. I know all of this is a lot. So, thank you for being willing to help. At least with what you are comfortable with helping with.
She will not hesitate, but slow down for a moment and just say, I think you are all a very weird and interesting group. And you have brought me proof that dreamers are real. So I will help you however I can. Provided it doesn't get too gross. She holds up a little vial of blood and goes, "This is about the most blood that I prefer to handle."
Now, to be fair, we generally don't pull people out of labs if they don't want to. Getty is a unique case. Just kind of looks at Getty with a smirk.
He just kind of like, he is poking and prodding at the slight pinprick of a wound. And he just goes, just kind of grumbling.
So, you shouldn't have to deal with too much beyond just what we bring to you to actually research and study.
Good. Minus the brain. Which I guess doesn't really count. Because it's not bloody.
Yeah, and, well, to be fair, Maxine, I say this with all due respect, but this is your field of research.
She kind of like tips her head back and forth and says, "Yeah, I just got really far without being hands-on. That's why I'm not a neurosurgeon."
Yeah, well, I mean, you put a piece of metal into your head, so I think you've already crossed that line.
And she rubs the socket. That's also probably true. I guess it's other people's blood.
We have a doctor to deal with that.
Do you guys have like a whole militia?
Not the word
Not
I
as
would
you need
choose.
to know.
We've got friends.
Weird and interesting people tend to attract weird and interesting people. It starts to stack up very quickly.
Cosmic holds up a hand and just goes, agree. It's pretty cool though.
Maxine, theoretically, your... She just gestures towards the Doc Ock arms. Could they be built with other cybernetic bases?
Maybe. It really just worked out this way because I started frames that went around bone structure and just kind of used those to build a basis of bones, and then did muscle myself with a little bit of help from the octopus. But I think it could work.
She's trying to figure out the questions she needs to and wants to ask with this without doing a full deep dive as of right now, because they got too much other shit to deep dive on it. You said it was what, brain matter and octopus?
Yes.
What exactly do you mean by brain matter?
Well, I used a sort of pseudo brain matter, some of what I grew from the fungus, and also some dummy material. It mostly was a little bit of engineered stem cell meant to replicate brain cells. And with those, and a little bit of encouragement from a genealogist perspective. I don't know if that's the right word, but it worked a little bit like that. And then you had to let them grow in a vat, which took about 6 months, but it worked.
Like, so he just kind of like looks back and over at Marcus, and then at his arms. He would be able to see the cogwheels very clearly turning.
He like sees your eyes and then just goes, I I don't know if it would be that simple. Um, did you don't pose that Maxine I would be able to get something like that for my arms, would you? And she blinks, and then we'll creep over to him and just no, she not without or completely without asking, just grabs one of his arms and pulls it out and examines it very closely, and is like, it would take a little bit of work because there's no real bone structure in here aside from a very, very thin frame. But it could work. We just need a little bit of something here. And she's like rooting around in the cabling of his arm. And then we'd obviously need a casing. But it could. Why? Do you want tentacle arms? One of the tentacle lifts up. And he's like, and yeah, Marcus is like,
There's an immediate snort.
I just want normal arms. And she snorts and just goes, I know. Nobody ever wants arms. Except for me.
Like, she's kind of like, there's the evil grin again as she looks at Marcus. Sure, you could just, have an extra cup coming out the back.
He just stiffens and just shakes his head like, nope. Nope. I definitely don't need extra. I'm good.
No octopus punching.
Good.
No octopus punching for you either, Lockhart.
Kind of a sour look.
But like, look, it can do chores for you.
They can do chores. They help me with baking a lot.
I'm perfectly capable of doing my own chores.
But are you perfectly capable of doing 4 chores at once?
If I were to do 4 chores at once, it would not be done.
I think that's kind of insulting to them. Like, look, Locke, they're right there.
Legacy does laugh.
I think that they do a pretty good job considering.
But
Sorry, repeat that.
I think that they do a pretty good job, considering, and she kind of makes the motion of like the claw.
Just an eye roll.
Maxine will like snap one of her claws, like she just makes it like clap basically.
Like tongs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly like tongs.
Kaya, next to Lockhart, does the same motion with her hand to Lockhart.
Legacy just kind of like leans forward a little bit as she has stopped laughing, still kind of smirking and amused by Kaya joining in on this. But in all reality, Maxine, you can give actual sensation, even if it's not flesh and blood normal sensation. You know how, well, you have to know how fucking ground shattering that is.
She smiles kind of wanly and says, "Yeah, but I don't think anyone would want to pay for it. I pitched this patent as a potential for a, well, they didn't like the name, but I called it the feel sleeve."
We could probably work on that name, yeah. But and Legacy just kind of like she pauses and she's considering something. You pitched the patents to people that only care about the money. You could just put it out there for people to know that it exists.
She blinks and this kind of like dawns on her as something she can do and she hadn't really considered it before. and she says, you know, I guess I could.
It's your research, and doing this would, you would lose control over it. But if you want to, I think I know some people that can help get it out and get it spread around enough that, again, even if it is really expensive at the start, if enough people push for it, there's always a chance.
She rubs her chin again and says, you know, I think that is a good point.
Legacy nods and will look over to Marcus. Just kind of like consider him for a second. And look back towards Maxine. And if you ever have some free time, I think Marcus would like to work with you on this. She kind of like, there's a question towards Marcus.
Yeah, that would be huge. And I mean, I maybe I could help. I don't know. I'd like to at least try to help.
And Legacy is like, well, Maxine is processing that, will look across towards Kaya and just kind of like tilt her head and like meet Kaya's eyes. Imagine she is still annoying Lockhart just a little bit with clacking hands. And will look very pointedly at Kaya's arm and then back at Kaya.
Agent Kaya puts down the little claw hand as she meets Legacy's eye. And is confused for a second of like, what do you mean? And looks back and then looks back down at the arm and kind of the little, I don't know, bit of, I don't know, goofiness that she was showing just now kind of dies slowly. And she just shrugs before just going back to her coffee.
There's a little frown, but Legacy doesn't say anything, decides not to point out to Maxine. And just looks back towards Maxine. That is not for her to volunteer, Kaya.
Just to clarify above table, are you volunteering or asking if Kaya wants to get her arm?
Yeah, essentially, like,
Altered?
this would not be, I'm fully aware this is not a replacement, but
Mm-hmm.
it gives her the option for sensation.
Yeah, okay. Just wanted to clarify above table. Kaya would have reacted the same way. The little goofy moment just kind of abruptly dying. As just a shrug of I don't know, and then just looks down into her coffee as she takes a sip.
Lacey will look back at Maxine, just kind of like smile very slightly, still sitting there. So Maxine is fucking huge to tiny Legacy on the floor. But if you want to ever let things be heard, let me know.
She smiles at that and she will remember this. But she nods, simply nods. Something else for her to sleep on.
And I don't have anything else that I can think of in the moment for Maxine.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
Same
Okay.
piece.
Then you can all finish up your business here with Maxine. My question to you all now would be, what's next on the docket? What boxes are left unchecked before Gigadeath?
Trying to think.
Going to
Mhm.
tab to read notes again.
Huh.
Where did we put it? Chronically online formula? Neither.
Maybe resources?
Resources, I think.
Resources. Okay. Priority list?
Talk to Maxine, talk to Benghetti, full dive. It looks like it's a lot of stuff that would probably happen off screen.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kaya's is just building shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Bayard and shit.
Yeah, it seems like the rest of the stuff is just off screen, right?
Because for Legacy,
Uh,
it's the, like, just checking in with, like, Longview and Hijack and getting them, seeing number one if they can, and then placing them for the show.
Mm-hmm. Oh, probably see if Bastion can dig anything up about the construction part of it before we go in.
Yeah, so this might be, I don't want to call you out here, Joe, but this might be a good thing for,
Mhm.
like, you to write down of, like, okay, here's the moving pieces that I need to figure out what I can do with them first,
Yeah.
and if we have access to them.
So just making sure here, what's the exact plan we've got for infiltrating Tetsuo Tower? Is that the plan? I guess is the first question.
Mhm.
Yes, infiltrating it is the plan as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, that's also what I assumed.
What is the goal, and how do we want to achieve this?
The goal, the issue with the goal is that I think there was a couple of, like, stated goals, and then I think you said that Lockhart had some goals that the others were not necessarily privy to. Of trying to get, like, all the way to, like, the office or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's just kind of a wish thing, I think. She'd like to get to the office to see what he's hiding in there.
Because the goals, as far as I understand them for being in the tower, is, number one, actually get in there. Number two...
Don't die immediately.
Number two, it kind of twofold of both get to where they're keeping hard drives or paper copies of research, and then also the secret labs going down, because there is a stronger likelihood of the basement labs having shit that's tied to all of this. And then the kind of distant third wish list from Lockhart is getting all the way from the basement to the very top of the tower to the office, because there's probably shit in the office that is also very informative and would be very useful, but that is having to go from the bottom of a skyscraper to the top.
Unless, of course, we split the party.
Well, I think we were already going to end up
Yeah, we're
doing
gonna have
that,
to.
Yeah.
because as far as I'm aware, unless somebody tells her no, Legacy was going to be using the full dive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the party is going to be split, and I imagine little groups.
Okay, so then here's, I guess, the next question of, like, how do we want to get in? Like, because if Legacy's on the full dive,
that's where we have to, like, establish with Joe what pieces we have available.
Yes. So I will say, as far as pieces available, I don't have...
Did we get anything from Bastion?
From Bastion?
Yes.
So I think, if I recall correctly, he said that there's no call to construct or build any sort of stage. What he does remember is that typically shows like this are done in this way where it's kind of like a flash mob almost, where people are hiding at the venue, or quote unquote venue. They're hiding at the location, and they have speakers or drones with sound systems on them, and they bust out into a concert. That was his understanding. Is it's like a kind of, it's going to be like that, but en masse, where like the expectation would be everyone would do that. And that's to avoid the persecution from the police.
But also on the construction end, if I remember
Of
correctly.
the tower.
Yeah,
of the
because-
tower.
Yeah, the main reason was because construction and workers and getting access to blueprints and any previous renovations that might have happened. Nobody knows anyone who worked on them.
I'll say that you from Bastion, the most you're able to really get, it would end up looking a lot like this map you already have, except that the first and second sub-levels are a bit more detailed out, and the floors at the top level are a bit more detailed out. Like where A is also slightly more detailed out. I'll be right back. I can use the bathroom.
Perfect, because I need to use the restroom too.
So how you doing, Z?
Why did I get tired? Down? Oh, because they're both gone.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what? Why me? I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
How is it only Wednesday, though?
Right? Today fucking sucked. Not even because it was a bad day, like work-wise. It's because I hurt my hip.
Again?
I didn't do anything, but I was walking and I was rounding a corner because I was, on the move, fast, right before lunch rush, and then there was a loud crack. And it fucking hurt a lot.
No.
That happened at 11:30 in the fucking morning. I got there at 8. I was there till 5. I just spent the rest of the day just in the office, just organizing things, going through the paperwork. Threw out a lot of old paper that we don't need. Found all of our invoices that people just like to shove everywhere in different corners. Put them all in chronological order, stapled them.
Honestly, sounds like your favorite thing.
It really is.
But you were too young to be falling apart, Amy.
I know.
Also, how did the husband do with sewing for himself? Not great. Okay.
So, what happened was that last night, I tell him, like, okay, put the sewing kit in your bag so you don't forget it. He's like, okay. I'm like, do it right now. And he's like, okay. He goes and he puts it in his bag. After he picks me up from work, and we're walking back into the house, I'm like, oh, how did this morning go? And he's like, let's talk inside. I'm like, okay. Apparently, he forgot the sewing kit.
This
Do you want
dumbass
to
man.
know how?
He didn't put it in his bag.
Nope, he put it in his bag.
He forgot his bag.
Nope, he did. He took his bag. Here's what happened. He needed to bring his dress uniform, but he was gonna try and buy a new one because again, old uniform didn't fit. But he needed his dress shoes. So in order to fit them in the bag, he took the sewing kit out of the bag to put his dress shoes in the bag. And then while he was getting his patches and everything, he forgot to put it back in the bag.
This dumbass man.
So he gets there and he stops and he parks before he goes into the next. And he thinks, like, let me check the bag. Because knowing my dumbass, I probably forgot it. I know I put it in here. But I probably forgot it somehow. And lo and behold, it wasn't there. He doesn't even remember, like, leaving it. Or taking it out. But just... So yeah. Apparently his chief covered for him, though. He had to do the first watch during the ceremony. Rather than the second, I think, which is what was originally intended. Now he's got duty tomorrow, so he's gonna do the first watch again, 2 days in a row. Very fun for him. But yeah. Very oof days down here.
I'm kind of not surprised.
I don't know how to describe this, but I think I found art if you fuse together Clint and Electra.
I don't like that.
It's Micah, the Demon Huntress, is the name.
You're not wrong, but I still don't like it.
Slightly unsettling, now that I've said it. But that's what I was picking up, and I was like, it's something very specific here, is what's happening.
Oh, so goddamn, this priority list is from September.
Yep. Many a thing happened since then.
I like how talk to Maxine was the #1 priority legacy list. She's doing it after everything else.
Mm-hmm.
I've
Hello.
gotten water. I had to give Claire a blanket because she was cold.
Oh.
And now I'm here, freshly bathroomed.
I think Iris is still AFK.
Yes. What were the moving parts, or at least some of the moving parts you had mentioned before?
So we need to know what we can find out from Bastion, if anything. That being #1. We know. I'm just kind of looking at this list to remind myself of shit. We know that Rat has been filled in on everything and is helping with the concert to cause chaos. Legacy was going to see if Longview is still in a freelance state, or if he has been contracted out already.
Gotcha.
And then depending on, because Longview is not particularly good at hacking in, but can control shit, depending on what they are willing to do, try to employ Longview again.
I am back. And I've been listening. I think we did bring up Longview previously.
Mm-hmm.
I think we already spoke with them.
We have not officially. We have mentioned Longview several times, but we have never gotten an answer about Longview.
Yes.
And then also setting my imagination and like trying to possibly make it easier for Legacy to get in and overwhelm is seeing if she can get Hijack and his buddies, and hell, even Cosmic in on essentially like a DDoS type attack.
Mm-hmm.
something that is kind of like happens to companies all the time, but is annoying enough that she can slip in. Possibly. So not something that'll set them on edge and like make them immediately come after all of the hackers, but you know, a distraction.
Make their website super slow.
Mm-hmm. If all of their guard dogs are too busy trying to attack other things that are happening, then that makes fewer Legacy has to directly deal with.
Put off-brand Clippy on their website.
Lockhart was still trying to get some information about Red, it looks like. I don't know if that was settled.
Was that settled,
keeping
Joe?
tabs. Yes, I've been rolling for that in the background.
Okay, I figured.
I've been rolling a percentile die.
Ooh.
And then.
What do you mean keeping tabs on Red? Kaya's right there.
Then there were the 3 items that were on this priority list that have not been fully addressed yet. Which, talking to Maxine, I don't know if there will be any time to work with Maxine on a theory, at the very least, on how to navigate quickly. Even if it can't be fully built. And then Legacy was going to work on the Laughing Girl sunglasses for Kaya and Lockhart. And Kaya was going to work on the Bayard.
And then collectively, Beacon.
Yeah, but the Bayard, I can't believe I'm fucking saying this because it's an opportunity to get the Bayard. Like, if Legacy's in the full dive, it's kind of moot for Legacy.
My God.
Priority Beacon. I mean, other people can use the Bayard. Hot potato it around. Could be useful.
And it looks like Lockhart was wanting to train Marcus in a few extra things.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, like, it would depend, I think, in character on how much Lockhart, like, because I imagine Lockhart kind of is going to end up taking point inside the building. On where they go and shit, for the most part. So it depends on how Lockhart would want to approach things. She'll have Kaya there. If Cosmic is doing hacking, then Cosmic is not going to be there in person. But she'll have Kaya. She'll potentially have Marcus. Which is the other thing for Marcus of if he wants to go. I feel like Marcus is going to be better served as him going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And like maybe oopsie like tripping things, but not being able to like directly interact or like directly help unless shit goes real bad real fast.
He can be our guy that pushes all the elevator buttons for us by accident.
Yeah, essentially that. Because if he directly interacts, there's no way in hell that he is not going to get blown. So that means Kaya will be going in with Lockhart. And I think it would be a matter of if both of them want to, if Lockhart wants a backup of Sprite, knowing that Sprite can handle themselves.
It's an interesting thought.
And if Sprite would want to leave the chaos of outside to go sneaking into the building.
I think the more people we have going into the building, like, yeah, it's better, but the harder it'll be.
It's
that's the only thing.
Back and forth, so that's why I'm like, we can't pull anybody else to try and do that. You can't pull Passion, you can't pull Rat, can't pull 2 Chains, anything. The only one that I could see potentially being useful to come along would be Sprite, or would be Cosmic, taking him off of hacking and having him there more so as the, like, absolute desperate last option. Because this man has been wanting to shoot something for a fucking year now.
Can we give him rubber bullets so he can shoot something?
I mean, he's
Jason
got
Todd
rubber
his
bullets.
I have a slight concern, and I don't know if I'm just being overly paranoid here. We should have someone stationed with Legacy, and I assume Ben Getty.
I also assumed Ben Getty.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Ben Getty would have to be there to, like,
Mm-hmm.
help the communication back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
But also in case shit goes wrong with Legacy, him and I guess potentially Maxine, if Ben Getty wants to actually invite Maxine over, would be the only ones that would be capable of trying to figure out how to get her out of the machine.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I mean, I know it's a lot of work, but if we can move some of the components to Maxine's place, if she'd be up for it. I don't know, she just has more medical shit, so...
Well, the other issue... Okay, so... I know you're trying to leave this at a very, like, kind of sweet note, but this would be a decision that we do need, Joe. Of, does Maxine dive into this or not?
She will.
Because
she will largely dive into it.
If she did not want to dive into it, moving the components of this and then being like, yeah, we're doing a major heist, would completely contradict each other.
Yeah.
But I mean, if she, like, calls up Legacy or Kai or, like, anybody the next day and is like, yeah, I want to do this, I imagine that they all will fill her in.
Yeah.
She gets added to the group chat.
Yeah.
She wakes up the following day, will call up Legacy, and holding the coin in her hand, having flipped it and looked at the result, she will agree to help you all and go all the way in on whatever insane bullshit you were all planning. Or rather, whatever insane bullshit you were all involved
in. Yes, here's a Google Doc.
Yeah, I imagine...
Enjoy.
Like, if she called Legacy would get Kaya and Lockhart as kind of the core of the group, and then probably reach out to Ben Getty again and see if he wanted to be there as well for a conversation, whether it be in person or, like, you know, a, like, fucking Zoom call, because he might know some of the scientific stuff that she might have questions about. To explain as much as she is tolerating, I guess I should say. She eventually will tell everything, but, you know, if she looks like she's about to pass the fuck out halfway through, there's going to be a picking and choosing of how much needs to go first. Get the essentials out of the way.
Do check-ins every couple minutes.
But yeah, I mean, I guess that means that it would be potentially Maxine and Ben Getty with Legacy.
Between the two of them, I'm sure whatever issues arise, they could solve.
And if you're wanting to leave somebody to guard, then that would essentially probably mean that Cosmic would also be hacking from theirs, because he would be able to kind of do both. help the hackers out and also actually provide
Gun.
a gun.
Yeah, just because of the fact that what happened with Hijack, I'm just like, I know it's not the exact same, but I am nervous. I don't know if that was foreshadowing. I feel like it was foreshadowing. Having some kind of defense, I feel, would be safer.
Yeah, it is definitely good to have that, but Legacy's also going to be a paranoid fuck during this. I can assure you that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if Longview is helping. Because then that means she is not going to have to so much, like, not have to split her attention on protecting and trying to aid the Round Table Boys in Cosmic very much. She only has to worry about covering her own tracks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which she is arguably very good at.
And having Cosmic there too as a precaution of double covering the tracks kind of thing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So I would believe Legacy, Maxine, Bengetti, and Cosmic. So it still leaves the does Lockhart want to try and get Sprite in, and then I would say, I don't know what you have in mind with her, Joe, but I would say Sprite is 100% down to, like, you're saying I get to go into the place with all the fucked up shit and cause some chaos?
Yes, 100%. She would be so fucking down to cause a riot.
Okay. It'd be up to Lockhart, I think, is Kai would defer to Lockhart here.
Out of character here, I think it would be a good idea to have another person there, especially if it's just going to be 3 of us, and then we don't have to worry about Marcus getting in. He's fine there, so it's just the 3 of us. As long as we can come up with a good cover for that, I'm cool. But I also, as a side thing, I think having Sprite as confirming it would also be good. Or are we having Marcus be kind of the getaway
I feel
driver,
like Marcus
so
is kind of helping you guys stay hidden as long as possible and kind of helping you guys back out as much as he can. And then because we've already sat down with Calamity and Rat, especially Rat, those two will blow a fucking hole in the side of the building to get them out, I think, if they have to.
Okay. I'm cool with having Sprite there. The only caveat in character would be is Sprite sure they want to there's a high likelihood of death here. That would be on Lockhart's thing of are you sure you want to do this? This isn't just a bar fight. Kind of thing. And to be honest, she would say the same to Kaya, too. You guys don't have to be on the front lines here.
Fucking, you are out of your fucking mind if you think Kaya's gonna let Lockhart go in there alone.
Oh, I know. This is just.
Oh yeah, I know.
Lockhart
that would be
Lockhart,
Kaya's reaction. They're just like, are you fucking insane?
Yeah, as long as both of them are cool with it, yeah, I'm cool with having both of them there.
So then that would be 4 people in the labs, 3 people going in, Marcus kind of on the periphery, Rat and Calamity outside in the chaos. I imagine they'd even, if he is willing, which I imagine he would be, of trying to poke at JJ, being like, hey, help out with this. Of we are doing some really dangerous shit. and we need them as distracted as humanly possible.
Yeah.
And then if Sprite is also going in, that would be a request for 3 Laughing Girl glasses, 1 off.
All right, is that all?
Big list.
Oh, I also have a list.
Yours
Yours is better.
Hijack AFK. Hoping to get that done with you.
He's been dodging you.
Aw. F's in chat.
He was scared shitless at the big confrontation that happened when he was last involved. He has absolutely been ducking you. If you want to really try to get his attention, that can be something where we attempt.
Legacy will just use the round table hackers to fucking guilt him. You're supposed to be Arthur in this whole mess. You're supposed to be the leader of this group. Your friends are still helping. She will just like poke and prod them to pass messages along.
The secondary living space. Okay.
My little.
Nice flurry. Essentially secure containers.
So I actually have a question, and this is kind of for Amy and Joe. I know Amy and I talked a little bit about like giving, having one of the Larrys kind of be like an assistant or like assist in stuff for Lockhart, having like as a pin or like Spy Kids little beetle thing.
See, I messaged Joe about it. He never responded.
Messaged me about having.
It was a while back. Like last year, kind of a while back.
Oh. I'm having a what was it? Explain the ask.
Basically, you've seen Spy Kids, yeah?
Yes.
Remember how Junie had that little like bug robot assistant thing?
Cool little bug-o-bot.
Yeah, have one of the Larrys, but like that, and kind of being like an assistant, like kind of thing.
Explain
to help
to
Lockhart
me.
Out.
Explain to me two things. I need 2 clarification points. When you say one of the Larrys, do you mean a mini Larry that is always out, or do you mean one of the like siblings?
So this was something that I asked you about in May of last year.
I thought I remember saying something to the effect of like, oh yeah, you could have a robot follow her around and help her. There's no reason you couldn't.
Yeah, you just never replied. You probably thought it.
Yeah, a classic neurodivergent of like, think the reply, don't type the reply.
Yeah.
If you think hard enough, it'll psychically link up and they will know what I have said.
Yeah.
This is before the mini Larrys were like sentient.
Yeah, well, my impromptu ruling of that now is you can have a mini Larry follow her around. However, if you have one mini Larry out, it's all mini Larrys. You cannot have one mini Larry and not the rest mini Larrys because it divides its consciousness. Then if you want to have one of the siblings follow him around, you can totally have that happen. You just have to tell me which one you want to follow her around.
It has to be one that'd be okay with essentially just being Lockhart's buddy.
The youngest
Me.
one. Because that's just
Yeah.
essentially what Larry was at the start, and Larry was super useful still, without having a whole lot there.
I mean, the other thing too is we could just bring Larry along.
Well, I didn't think that Larry was not going to be there.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
assumed Larry was
Yeah.
coming.
Well, yeah, I figured he was too, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
Mhm,
we might not
mhm.
need,
Yeah.
you know, same.
But I like the idea of the Lockhart specific little mini.
Especially if there is a need for the two of them to kind of do two different things at the same time for a hot second.
Mm-hmm.
Mini Larry is less obtrusive for Lockhart.
Mm-hmm. And also, technically speaking, that swarm thing is not in the system.
But I'm still willing to honor it.
Well, yeah, but
Because
like
that's
more
kind of like part of
grandfather thing.
Larry's design.
Mm-hmm. So it's a matter of like, okay, who would be the best one? Who would be the best one to be a little, I don't know, Junie's beetle brooch, but for Lockhart.
Going back to notes to read more
It's the
about
Larry files are in the RPG
Yeah.
resources.
Yeah, I know. I was just scrolling up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm. I think Theodore, George, or Leo would probably be the best options.
Yeah. I don't think Leo, because I think Leo is too young.
Mm-hmm.
George is also just slightly older.
That's why I was thinking Theodore, but
Unfortunately, like, again, would Leo and George be as useful as Larry is? Absolutely no. However, you were using, like, the Larry that went into the heist with us, of the lawyer heist, was essentially Leo or George.
Very true.
So even though they're quote-unquote youngest, and we, like, joke about them being babies, they are fully functional, fully usable drones.
Yeah.
They just may not have extra.
Is...
Yeah, they just may not have extra stuff to be additionally useful on top of it. And so that's why, like, for like Theodore, like, has the most additional stuff, but we're not Adam's Ward.
Yeah.
All of the additional stuff for him is not going to be useful, and there's the, like, possibility of, like, well, like, Lockhart being like, well, I wonder what the construction is of this sub-basement. He just starts spouting shit about Adam's Ward, and it becomes distracting.
True. Okay, so Leo or George?
We'll take the youngest. Thumbs up.
Youngest thumbs up. Okay. So, well, first of all, would Leo be okay with becoming Lockhart's buddy?
Yes.
Okay.
All of the drones are okay with everyone on the team, unless anyone on the team specifically, like, attacked them in some way.
Would Leo be okay with a slightly different body? To essentially, like, be more incognito and be more, like, attached.
I mean, Leo would be okay with it in the same way that Siri would be okay with it.
There's not enough of Leo yet for there to be a strong opinion about much of anything.
Okay, that's fair. Okay.
Aside from, like, you smack him and he doesn't like you because you smacked him. That's the strongest opinion that he can get.
Yeah, he is right now, like, on a very, very primitive level, like, just like keep himself functioning, but he does not have a very advanced decision-making algorithm beyond keep yourself functioning. And if you attack him, he'll be like, "Oh, you're trying to stop me from functioning. I'm just going to get away from you."
Okay. So could Kaya like I guess the same way that she's crafting like a little, I don't know, different design for Robin and stuff and reinforcing things, make a new one for Leo that's much more incognito, much more spy esque, can
You're
blend
going.
in to formal wear kind of shit.
Let me write this down really quick.
Mhm.
Legacy is making the Laughing Gal glasses. Was there anything else Legacy was making? Not the Bayard.
We mentioned the beacon stuff, but that's, I feel like, a slightly separate type of conversation. But as far as like just straight up items, I think she has all of the hacking stuff at this point. So no, she was just making the 3 Laughing Girl sunglasses, and I'll be real with you, I was 100% planning on them just being kind of shoddily quickly put together because she is not an engineer. She
Yeah,
has
they'll work.
she has the software. She was just going to slap them onto some like thick-legged sunglasses to try and hide the shit, and with the full knowledge and intention of this is not going to last for like more than maybe like 2 or 3 days at best.
Mm-hmm.
Kaya dying inside as she receives the gift.
Hey, look. Legacy knows what her limits are, and this is really fucking impressive for what she normally does.
I was gonna say, like, the actual like appearance of the glasses is not going to be so subtle that like if someone were to walk up, they would look at your glasses and be like, "What the fuck is wrong with your glasses?"
Yeah.
But they will do their job, and as long as you don't get punched in the face, you will probably still have full functionality of them working.
Well, you make that noise, Iris. Lockhart has already fucking revealed herself.
True.
She is the least of our concerns. I don't mean that in a bad way, but they already know that she's still around and causing shit. We're trying to help Kaya in Sprite and
Yeah, that's true.
Lockhart.
That's true.
So so there's the Laughing Gal glasses, the beacon or locator, well, cyberspace. Kaya was working on the bracelet communicators, or is that done?
That's been done.
That's been done.
Okay.
That was done before the highway.
The Bayard is in progress. The Leo remodel is in progress. What else was Kaya working on?
It was the Bayard. It was now Leo remodel.
Yep.
And also gift to Lockhart of like surprise. Be careful.
What is the gift?
The joking Leo just like, hello, here's a Leo to help you.
Here's your nephew.
Oh, you're not actually making that though.
What do you mean?
You're just letting Leo follow Lockhart, or are you literally going to clone Leo?
I'm not cloning Leo. It was just making a joke about like grabbing Leo.
It's not a
like,
separate
surprise.
project. It's the same as the remodel
same
of Leo.
project.
Yeah, that is the same as the remodel. I need like specific unique projects. So you have Bayard, Leo remodel.
I was going over it in my mind. So you have the Bayard, I've got the Leo remodel. The bracelets were already done. And I imagine just over the course of time, the remodel of the bracelets just for flavor.
Sure.
And I think that's it for Kaya.
Well, and like as an extra like flavor thing, but not directly attached to this, the remodel of Robin and
Yeah.
Yes.
The last one.
Mm-hmm. Drone remodel.
Yeah. But Leo taking precedence for the sake of the mission.
Mm-hmm.
Casey was the last.
Gotcha. Yeah. Gathering. thing. Unsubstantiated. Unsubstantiated. There it is. How do you spell that word? There. Personal venture. So I will say, I think with the last little bit of time, Legacy can finish the Laughing Gal glasses. Kaya, you can either remodel Leo to be stealthier, assuming that you want that to be like a mechanic, like benefit.
That'd be nice.
You can remake Leo's exterior to be more stealthy, or you can make a rudimentary Bayard.
Leo.
Yeah, go with Leo.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that as soon as this heist is over, I'm not going to start annoying the fuck out of you again, Joe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I fucking know.
Ow, ow.
Complete side thing though. We need disguises. That's complete flavor though.
Yes, you can. You guys could have some cool disguises.
Let's
In
go.
fact, I need all of you to commission an artist and get all of your art that you've already commissioned just in a disguise. Which would be funny as fuck.
I mean, does Kai really need a disguise?
Honestly, like both, like Lockhart and Kaya could easily get
Yeah.
inside in their normal clothes. Sprite's the one that has to have a disguise.
Like, Lockhart wears formal
So I
wear
forgot.
to an office. Kaya is mechanic / maintenance worker coded just by default. All she has to do is just get her fucking old jumpsuit and old ball cap, and she's good. Because, they make you buy those uniforms yourself.
Ugh.
Trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's everything.
Okay. So, I will say for right now. Oh, I have Ghost Protocol guys standing by. No, these guys need to change to helping.
Standing by but annoyed about it. So we're not going to hear from Kanako.
Probably let Veloska know that we're up to some shit.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
He's in Voyager ward, so have him prepared to help, to heal people.
Give him a heads up and I don't know, a gift card or some shit.
And a gift card.
Gift card for the local liquor store.
Marcus will be under very strict orders from Legacy of like, you help, but if you feel like you are blown, you get to Lockhart. Lockhart, you're keeping the boyfriend alive.
Well, Marcus is going to have a very normal day at work. With some very coincidental oopsie accidents that happen to help the party.
Bum, bum, bum.
Oh, those guards are chasing those people. Oh no, I spilled lemonade all over the marble floor. Oh my god. Oh no, let me help you. Oops.
It keeps happening.
Keeps happening.
Okay, I'm going to rearrange these. Whoop. The important NPCs are at the top. And the info dumpers are at the bottom.
Wait.
So, as of right now, you have several characters who are available to help you invade or help cause chaos at Gigadeath. So Gigadeath is going to be a big deal. I will say the more people you put towards it to keep people safe or to keep people or to keep the chaos growing, the longer you will have before shit comes towards Tetsuo. So I think that is something to consider. You could have like the Roundtable Boys helping to like help cause chaos by hacking systems and plugging into loudspeakers or fucking around with traffic lights or what have you. It could be a whole mess of stuff that they can do. But any NPCs you say like you go do Gigadeath stuff, they will find a way to help, and it will prolong the response that comes to Tetsuo's aid.
So my question then with this, thinking from the hacking perspective. Said Longview is available to be hired for this. Has Longview worked with the Tetsuo headquarters security system?
He has not worked with the corporation directly. He has worked with executives and people who work at the corporation.
Like the lawyer.
Yeah. He's been privately contracted by people who work at Tetsuo, but not Tetsuo directly.
So would he be able to point her towards a potential weakness?
It depends on what a weakness for what specifically. Like getting into their system is kind of a multi-stage process because there's a lot of stuff that you could get access to very easily that is probably not as helpful to you because they're in the same way that somebody will have just stuff on their computer. There is a way to get access to that level of stuff that he could easily get you into. It's like, yeah, if you just want to fuck around with all of the surface layer PCs that are connected on a floor, he can help you do that. But it will be harder if you want to get access to like the security cameras, or if you want to get access to something like an emergency system, or like a silent alarm. If they're or not silent alarm, it's not a bank, but it would be like a some kind of alarm system that would work with doors or certain locks or things like that.
So here's my thought, and I also leave it because it's kind of a group vote on where to allocate resources. So Amy, Iris, if you disagree with something, you can feel free. My thought is seeing if Longview is willing to give some information to Legacy, but have him in the moment helping with, because he was the one that was able to shut down and move around shit in Voyager.
Yeah.
Having him helping with Gigadeath and having the Roundtable Boys essentially doing the DDoS type of attack or something along those lines of the initial outer security of Tetsuo, keeping it busy, so that Legacy could get past it easily. Any hackers that are working for Tetsuo would potentially be focused on the boys. And if Hijack gives her any information, if he doesn't, that's fine. If he does, she might be able to use it with anything that is the next level down.
The other thing...
I have two more things. having
Oh, sorry.
Cosmic also helping with that, because he is physically protecting Bengedi and Maxine and Legacy, but if nothing is happening, then he can be helping with that a little bit. And I will throw out that Legacy, if, like, Hijack has been ducking her ever since the highway incident. She would have been annoying the other hackers to annoy him. And then I imagine it's more of like he has been like leaving her on red, essentially, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
She, like, towards Gigadeath, she'll be
Mhm.
just like send him a very pointed message of you know that you are in on the deep end, but you know, how do I want to phrase it? You are on the deep end of this shit. You know it. We all know it. The only way that we don't drown in it is if we try to help each other out a little bit. And
Mhm.
we'll kind of like first, that's first message. Second message is like, you are actually a very good hacker when you get the balls to actually do something.
Ooh.
I'm going to be sticking out my neck. Your friends are going to be helping me. If you want not only yourself, but all of us to make it without having to go hiding like you've been hiding for the past however many years, they could use your help.
Whew.
That's spicy.
Ooh.
It is a startling thing to be like this far into it and then have someone try to pull out quietly, like they could just ghost the whole situation away. And it's like, nah, bitch, you are committed.
You are in this, motherfucker.
It is too late, and you fucking knew it would be too late well before this point. Get your ass in the chair. That would get his attention. That would work.
Because Legacy knows that he is a good hacker when he actually fucking tries.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I also appreciate that Legacy is like both demanding of his um, like she will not let him get away with underselling himself or underutilizing himself, where it's like you can't pretend like you're not good at this.
So that would essentially have the summing it up for the hacking side.
Mm-hmm.
Longview, if he is willing to give information, try to get him to give a little bit of information, but in the moment, outside, helping with the Gigadeath stuff. Because he is going to be most effective on the hacking end, on getting people like through intersections and causing issues for cops and keeping them off of the crowd and all of that type of stuff. Having the Roundtable Boys, Hijack, and Cosmic trying to help Legacy in overwhelming the initial systems in just kind of the vague way that, you know, a stupid group of hackers will try to mess with a company, not diving for specific information to try and hide her diving for specific information. And then potentially with them there, if they can keep it up long enough and she needs a little bit of help, she can try to get back to the collective to keep herself from getting overwhelmed.
Okay. So you want long view on Gigadeath, hackers, and hijack on Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Does that sound good, Amy, Iris?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like Longview's got the bandwidth to just like see all of that and be able to manage something
And the
as big
connection.
and rowdy. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't even have to he doesn't have to break a sweat.
Mm-hmm. I will say, idea just popped into my head. Could one of the roundtable hackers be like extra cool and like to fuck with the police, have like recorded their radio signals to each other and just plays it back on the radio to cause confusion?
Oh yeah. There's plenty of room for
Hell yeah.
that type of chicanery.
Mm-hmm.
The other thought too that I kind of forgot about, like, Bengetti has a slight back door, just that he doesn't really remember, right? For hacking Tetsuo stuff.
He has a backdoor into a what is essentially like a private section of the network that is relegated to his lab. It is connected to Tetsuo at large, but it is more equivalent to it would be like having access to something on sub-level 1 or 2.
Still useful.
Because Bengetti was on a sub-level.
Yeah. Because at the very least, even if he can't do things like the exact stuff himself, it's kind of like throwing a paper plane. It's the initial momentum is kind of what I meant. Has been being able to assist with that for Legacy.
I forget. Where is?
Huh?
Sorry, I'm making a note of something and updating the tags here, and I need to check something on the old Roll20 page because that had the full armory, or not armory, it had the page that was like all of the NPCs where you could move them around and arrange them.
Ah, yes, that little mini board.
Your war room, effectively.
War
table. The war coffee table.
So Marcus inside, Cosmic helping out, Bengetti kind of playing back and forth.
Yeah.
Veloska very much on standby.
Yeah. But prepared. Important.
Yeah, we've given him more than the like 30 minutes, hey, we're coming in with a gunshot. We're like, okay, at some point this evening, we're all probably coming in very injured.
If you tell Veloska, because Veloska at this point is like, oh, okay, we're going to war. If you tell Veloska, we need you to be ready and at this location, he'll actually go outside
to drive you back while you're bleeding and make sure you don't bleed out in the car. Iris, you said Lockhart would take Sprite in.
Yes.
So Sprite is because I imagine Sprite can help with the initial launch of the chaos of Gigadeath. And then help Lockhart and Kaya through that chaos to the building.
Gotcha.
This is my thing. I'm fine with leaving Sprite out. I'm also fine with Sprite joining. Whatever you guys think is more beneficial, I'm cool with. Kind of thing. I can see a thing for both. That's all.
Right now, we'll put her with going inside, because we're going to have a whole bunch of people on Gigadeath.
True.
And once they're out there, it's going to be very difficult for them to get inside. Versus, I feel like it'd be easier for Sprite to leave.
Yeah.
I assume you would want Chains, Bastion, and the rowdy construction boys to be all in on Gigadeath.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Connect up Chains and Bastion to Rat, though, so that, like,
Mm-hmm.
essentially...
And Rat and Calamity.
Yeah, because Rat and Calamity, I imagine, are going to end up kind of being a pair with shit.
Mm-hmm.
The very important question. I'm sorry, go ahead. It was a stupid question. Don't worry. Continue.
You're going to ask how well they're getting along.
No, I was going to ask if Calamity likes Gadget.
Didn't we already establish Gadget was, like, has become the,
Hashtag Gigadog.
Yeah, Gigadog.
I have it in the notes every time I mention Rat and Calamity doing so. I put hashtag Gigadog.
But have Bastion and Chains hooked up with Rat, so if Kaya feels the need to hit a panic button, it goes to Rat, and Rat can essentially point the boys, the construction boys, at something.
Oh, that would be great.
Gotcha.
I'm sure at the very least Bastion is familiar with Rat, because Kaya did live with Rat.
Yeah, for sure. They would have some level of rapport.
Yeah.
And same with Chains, because Chains and Bastion were friends for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Or have been friends for a while.
The Ghost Protocol boys are going to be helping with Calamity and JJ. But that gives us a relatively capable group of pretty strong individuals to send launching in if we really need them to. Because nobody wants to fuck with a whole bunch of construction dudes that decide that they are drunk and mad. And they have access to explosives, possibly.
Possibly. They're a bunch of blue collars let loose in a white collars world.
Mm-hmm.
Or very simple smoke screens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Doesn't even have to be explosives. Just, if the panic button's hit, everyone pulls the smoke screens and we have kind of a way out, or we have a way to get lost in the smoke screen or something, if we can get out. Kind of cool idea. But anyways.
Would it be... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we can also technically have JJ have maybe trigger a couple things before Gigadeath to thin out the police line a bit. Away. Just a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Would JJ be down with being a getaway driver?
Yeah, for sure.
Because we could possibly have him trigger some stuff, but also it might be useful to have somebody that is actively waiting, and we can clue Longview in of hey, if we need to get out fast, we need these streets cleared, if at all possible. And just you guys know that if you are running, you run to this alley, JJ's there, and between JJ and Longview might be able to get us out.
Mm-hmm.
We also have the bikes too, which is useful.
True.
Yes, my only concern with that is if you guys end up being too fucked up to use them effectively.
That's fair.
They're a backup plan, I think.
They are technically plan A of if you are walking out, go to your bikes calmly and leave. If you are leaving hot, JJ's first option, bikes are second option.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You could have Veloska stay with JJ.
I was actually thinking that too. In a van. Indiscriminate or unmarked van.
Both armed with shotguns.
Flower delivery service. on the side of the van. Just really lean into the heist vibe.
I just had a thought.
Mhm.
Like, this is completely off onto the side, but you said there was a huge ass memorial in the off or the main area of Tetsuo, right?
Yeah, there's like a little garden memorial area. Not to
Okay,
any
like-
sort of war or tragedy.
No,
It's just
yeah. Well, unironically, we could literally put a bugged thing of flowers there to kind of keep an eye on what's going on in the inside. Just a random side thing.
I will say, you will have a great view if you are anywhere near the windows at Tetsuo. Because it overlooks the like large part of the pavilion.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking?
Hmm.
Paintball guns.
Okay, then for this last little bullet point here, gone down the list. Since he's heard back about Kaneko, would he, in the phone call of hey, I heard about Kaneko, she's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Would he have expressed that she seems particularly mad?
Mad in what sense?
Is he concerned that she might be a liability?
No. He gets the impression that she's up to something, and he's seen news report, like you guys have seen news reports that supposedly someone who is very Conoco coded has been causing trouble. And JJ's like, okay, she's working out some aggression.
She's venting.
Then,
But she's not a liability per se. He just doesn't know how to account for her.
I mean, she is a wild card that may not be great, but I would say Legacy's instinct would be to tell JJ of we'll let her know that Gigadeath is going to be
Huge.
Good time.
a thing.
Yep.
And that there's other things that are going to be happening with Gigadeath as a cover.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And honestly, if she wants to do her own thing too, that could be an opening for her.
yeah, that's kind of my thought of if she is another because we don't want to give her all the info, so she doesn't decide, you know what, I'm just gonna go into fucking Tetsuo and cause issues if they're there, because then that might cause us issues. But if we tell her Gigadeath is a cover for some things going on, that might prompt her to cause some extra chaos in amongst Gigadeath.
Mm-hmm.
That could be helpful.
Okay. So just have JJ communicate hey, give her the deets, tell her whatever she needs to know.
Mm-hmm.
And if she wants to involve herself in a helpful way, tell her she is free to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say this is happening. Do with that information what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of thing.
Do with that what you will.
So how many people do we have on the Gigadeath crew right now?
Everything except the main crew. And plus Sprite.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much everyone.
The hackers are split, but then after that, Sprite's going with y'all, and everything else is on Gigadeath.
We've got a good amount of people on Gigadeath. Holy shit.
Where is Cosmic going to be?
With Ben Getty and Legacy and Maxine.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Backline.
Backline, protecting them, but also if he wants to try his hand at hacking and helping with kind of hooking him up with the Round Table Boys.
Mm-hmm.
He's a
because
baby hacker.
I know he is not like a super strong hacker outside of the machine, but it's an extra set of hands for him to do something in the meantime, rather than him just sitting around staring and waiting for shit to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bengedi and Maxine are going to be the relay, like, for what Legacy is doing to the group, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And also making sure she's okay, obviously.
Yeah. Making sure she doesn't die. Keep an eye out to see if she needs to be pulled out.
There we go.
Yeah,
That,
and
add Maxine to the mix.
somewhere between Bengedi, Maxine, and Cosmic, there should be a common sense and a brain cell of like judging when Legacy might be in trouble.
It's Cosmic.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's like Maxine, Bengedi just staring at a screen. That looks weird. Maxine looking at the vitals. Yeah, that's not what she's supposed to be doing. And then Cosmic like, maybe that means she needs to come out.
And then Bengedi comes in. He's like, "Now, let her cook."
Let her cook. Bro, she's burning.
Do we have any more NPCs we can cash in on here?
I don't think so.
None who are involved enough to be willing to do anything crazy. Like, the only one I could think of that was not explicitly named was Kapachi Techno, who
Mhm.
might be dead. You still have not heard back from them?
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
They're fine.
Do we bother, friends?
Do we bother who?
Kapachi Techno?
Apache Techno? Yeah.
I don't know anything about them to be able to say yes or no.
They were the contractor who brought Lockhart into the group fold.
Yep.
By way of communicating with Joseph Diego. RIP.
Yeah.
I feel like the only involvement for them it would be more along the lines of like Lockhart being like, if you have something that is going up against Gigadeath, I advise you call it off.
Mm-hmm.
More like threatening them than them being helpful.
Okay.
Did you want to try and recruit an NPC, Lockhart?
I don't really have any. I can't think of any other NPCs, so I'm actually
You
going to open the
do-
Roll20 to double check.
You do have one.
One of the family fuckers?
Let's see.
There is one NPC who you could probably find a place to put if you tapped on them.
I am opening. Can you switch the Roll20 to the warboard, please?
They're not on the warboard. I will switch it.
Thank you. That also helps just like thought process.
Yeah, that might be a thing that you just want to like give us a blank screen in Foundry to create a warboard on.
Mm-hmm.
We can't control the tiles here, but we can tell you where to put them.
Well, actually, is Talme still like an NPC we can talk to?
She is. She is someone you can talk to if you want to try and get her involved in this in some way. I was not.
Okay. What's been happening? I'm sorry.
Just more
Even
sorting
more
of NPCs.
Who's
Yeah.
the one?
Joe's trying to poke Iris that there's an NPC that she has that she can use. I don't think Iris remembers the NPC currently. And then we start talking about Talmy.
Yeah, I was just saying more for promoting, but that's whatever.
I feel like if we bring in Talme, I want to wait to bring in Talme until we try to go public against Tetsuo. Rather than risk her getting too burned too early. Because she is the only one I can think of that I know of that would be able to take the recordings that we already have and figure out possibly how to spin them and use them. But we need more to help her before she can do that, so I don't want to tap Talme yet. Not if we don't have the Cody character, I don't think she needs to be tapped right now.
That makes sense. Unless... Who the fuck are you alluding at?
What'd you say, Amy?
I was like, who is he alluding to?
I think it's one of the family bastards from the bar.
Talking about her sister?
She could.
It could be useful.
Yeah.
But Lockhart's not on great terms with them.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
I'm gonna add Talme here because she is important. I think she is worth adding.
She's how we expose Tetsuo.
Oops.
Because there's no charisma in this fucking party, so we have to outsource it.
Outsourcing charisma.
We could have, if we can hand wave back a thing or two, suggested after we met Calamity that Calamity, let Talme at least be in the know of like, hey, this is an act, like, even more so than just like the stuff that everybody knows of it being inspired by the one dude of Gigadeath has the potential of being a movement, has the potential of being bigger than people are expecting it to be. And just kind of suggest Calamity hook up with Talme in that way without Talme getting too involved, and leave it to her to like what she feels comfortable pushing.
I have a good map for a war room.